All right, let's talk about what might be Apple's weirdest, most puzzling product in a long, long time. The MacBook Neo. On the surface, this thing just seems wrong. But trust me, once you start digging, there's a seriously brilliant story here. I mean, seriously, why would you do that? A phone chip in a laptop? It just feels like a step backwards. But this isn't some bizarre mistake. Oh no, it's a very deliberate, very calculated move. And to really get it, we need to zoom in on one tiny detail in the spec sheet.
Okay, so take a look. At first glance, the MacBook Neo is running the same A18 Pro chip as the brand new iPhone 16 Pro. You've got the same high-tech 3nm process, the same 6 CPU cores. It looks identical. But then you see it. The GPU cores. The iPhone has 6. The MacBook Neo has 5. Why on earth would they do that? Well, that one little missing core, that's our first huge clue.
So that single missing core, it blows this whole thing wide open and leads us straight to reason number 1. It's all about some incredibly clever economics that literally turn manufacturing mistakes into profit. It's a peek behind the curtain at how this stuff is really made. It's a process called chip binning. And you gotta think about it, right? When you're manufacturing millions of these impossibly complex chips, not every single one is gonna come off the line perfectly. So what do you do when an A18 Pro chip has a tiny flaw in just one of its 6 GPU cores? Instead of throwing the whole thing in the trash, Apple does something genius. They just switch off the broken core. And just like that, you have a perfectly functioning 5-core chip ready to go. It's the ultimate recycling program. And that, right there, is how they hit that price point. That's the secret sauce. By using these slightly imperfect chips that would have otherwise been junked, Apple slashes its production costs. This isn't Apple making a cheap laptop. No, it's them making a laptop cleverly. Okay, I hear you. A cheaper chip has to mean a weaker chip, right? Well, kinda, but it's not that simple. The story here isn't about having the most raw power. It's about having exactly the right kind of power for the right person. Just think about what you actually do on your laptop 90% of the time. You're browsing the web, you're writing emails, you're opening apps. The speed of all that stuff is driven by what's called single-core performance. And here's the crazy part. The A18 Pro's more modern design is actually faster at those tasks than even the M1 and M2 chips. So for all your normal day-to-day stuff, this machine feels incredibly quick. Now, let's be real. If you're a professional video editor or a 3D artist, yeah, the M-series MacBooks are gonna absolutely smoke this thing. They've got all those extra cores for the heavy lifting. But that's the whole point. The Neo isn't even trying to play in that league. Apple knows exactly who this is for, and they aren't trying to trick anyone. This is surgical targeting. It's for the student writing papers, for the person who's new to the Mac, for anyone who needs a fantastic, reliable machine for everyday life, not a fire-breathing workstation. And check this out. This is a fascinating little side effect. When you cram a powerful chip into a super thin phone, it gets hot, fast, and to protect itself, it has to slow down or throttle. Look at that. It loses almost half its performance. But you take that same chip and put it in a laptop with more space and better cooling, it can just breathe. It can run faster for way longer. The bigger body literally unlocks more of the chip's potential. But this whole strategy is about more than just speed and saving money. The next piece of this puzzle is all about intelligence and especially efficiency. This is where using a chip that was born in a phone really begins to pay off in big ways. You know, as AI gets built into everything we use, a chip's neural engine is becoming super important. Well, the 18 Pros is an absolute beast. We're talking 38 times trillion operations per second. That's more than 3 times what the M1 chip could do. So this cheaper MacBook is actually way more future-proof for all the on-device AI features Apple is about to unleash. And remember, this chip was designed for a phone. It was born to sip battery, not guzzle it. Under a normal workload, it uses almost 40% less energy than a traditional laptop chip like the M2. That is a massive difference. And that amazing efficiency, it kicks off this brilliant cost-saving domino effect. Because the chip sips power, you don't need a huge, expensive battery. And because you have a smaller battery, you can ship it with a smaller, cheaper charger. Every single step saves a little bit of money, and it all adds up to help Apple hit that magic price point without killing your battery life. Okay, so for our final clue, we have to zoom out because this entire product, this whole idea is only possible because of a massive bet Apple made more than 5 years ago. Remember back in 2020 when Apple ditched Intel and started making its own Mac chips? That wasn't just about making Macs faster. The real endgame was way bigger, to get every single one of its core products, iPhone, iPad, and Mac, speaking the exact same digital language. It was a huge gamble, but it created an advantage that no other company has, and we're finally seeing it pay off right here. This is Apple's real unfair advantage. On the Windows side, trying to put a mobile-style ARM chip in a laptop can be a total disaster. Software is slow, buggy, or it just flat out doesn't work. But because Apple controls everything, the hardware and the software, an app built for a high-powered Mac runs perfectly on this MacBook Neo. It just works. That seamless compatibility is their superpower. So when you put all the pieces together, the decision to put a phone chip in a laptop stops looking strange. It stops looking like a compromise. It starts to look like a clear, calculated, and frankly, brilliant masterstroke. So this wasn't just one move. It was a single decision with 5 amazing consequences. It saved them money through chip binning. It delivered the perfect kind of speed for its audience. It's ready for the future of AI. It gives you incredible battery life with cheaper parts. And it was the ultimate payoff of a 5-year-long plan to unify their entire world. At the end of the day, this device isn't just some quirky experiment. It's the culmination of years and years of strategic planning across every single part of Apple's business. It's the moment where all those different threads, hardware, software, manufacturing, finally snap together into one cohesive picture. You know, this move could totally redefine what we expect from an entry-level laptop. It prioritizes smart efficiency over just raw brute force power. And it leaves us with a really fascinating question. Is this the new blueprint for making affordable computers? And what are Apple and its competitors gonna do next?
If you enjoy this video, click like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.